you've been to Comic-Con 3 times at this point. Once as a fanboy, is that correct?
Yeah, I've been here as a movie maker twice. I was here last year to promote Resident Evil, the last Resident Evil. This year with Death Race, but the first time I just came as a fanboy, and that was back in the day when Comic-Con was actually about comics. And now it's weird. You kind of walk the floor. I was walking the floor yesterday, and it's TV shows, movies, video games, toy ranges, T-shirts. I mean, you really have to walk a long way before you can find a comic book.
But it does show you how far the influence of comic books have kind of infiltrated into like mass media at this point.
Well, absolutely, and it shows also. You know, when I first came, there wasn't a huge movie presence here, and. But I always felt there should have been, because this is for a certain kind of movie, for a genre movie, this is the core audience.
So coming now this time with Death Race, what was the panel like, and what kind of, because people write about these things online and things like that. Did you read any of the pre-hype, or was it?
No.
So you just went there not really knowing what to expect, or?
Well, I mean, I've done Comic-Con before, and it's pretty intimidating when you walk out and there's 6,500 people, and it was very funny because the last panel last year I did with Mila, and she's such a professional. I mean, doing press doesn't faze her at all. So 6,000 people, she doesn't care. But walking out yesterday and seeing like Joan Allen, 3-time Oscar nominee, she had stage fright. I mean, it was, and I guess it's very odd for an actress to kind of like, you're just used to a camera crew. You're not used to like so many people.
It is a rock
And
concert.
Jason was a little nervous, and Tyrese, I mean, he even admitted it. The first thing that, he said, the first thing that came out of his mouth was, "I'm so nervous right now." So it was kind of cute.
And then what? Playing the clips and then all that. I mean, was it fun for you to see the reaction afterwards?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a bit nerve-wracking, because you hope they're going to like it. But there was a great buzz about the clip afterwards.
No.
I mean, it's a great movie. I mean, I'm really proud of the film. It's a really fun film, and it's really uncompromising. Universal allowed me to make a hard R-rated film. It's got loads of swearing in it, loads of violence in it. People get run down, and you see the results. It's a full-on hardcore movie, and Universal keep referring to it as the movie that no major studio should have made, and it kind of feels like that a little bit. It feels like somehow these independent filmmakers got hold of $75 million and just went crazy. I'm very pleased with the movie, and I'm very proud of it, and I'm not surprised that that people like the clip, because it's cool. And I think what's fresh about it is that it's all real. You saw it in the clip yesterday where 2 cars are chasing and one kind of like spins, so it's going backwards at 60 miles an hour, and they're both firing machine guns at one another. And it's all real. There isn't a single fake shot in there. Those cars are real, those machine guns are really firing, Jason Statham is really driving. That's a real achievement, because that kind of movie making hasn't been done for a long time.
Now, from a technical aspect, then, was it an extremely difficult one for you, or have you shot films that were worse than this?
No, this is technically the most difficult film I've ever made, and for the very reason that we decided not to use any visual effects, to do everything practically. That was one aim. The other aim was to put the most spectacular car stunts ever on film, and the two of those, to achieve that practically and not kill anybody, meant that we had to do a huge amount of preparation. And I was working on the movie in Montreal, where we shot it for a year before we rolled a single camera, to prepare to build the cars, because these are real cars, real armor plating, real functioning machine guns. We had to build 5 or 6 of each one, because we were wrecking the cars like crazy. It was a huge amount of preparation. And when you see 2 cars hit, for example, this car, it's on fire, Tyrese T-bones it, and this car spins 30 feet in the air. When you see that in the movie, that's all for real. There's no trickery, there's no fakeness, one of the cars not superimposed or anything. That's all reality, and to achieve that was, and like I said, not kill anybody in the process, it was a big job.
The insurance clauses, I'm sure, was a lot of fun to sign.
It was pretty massive,
Now, why do you think it has taken so long for the film for you to make it? It was like a 10-year, like, kind of...
14 years since I sat down with Roger Corman and he gave me the rights to remake the film. Partly, I got distracted making other movies. The studio heads changed. So the people who had originally bought the movie went, new people came in, they weren't so excited about it. We started at Paramount, we ended up at Universal. I mean, it's not uncommon for movies to spend 10 years before they get made. But you know, we kept fighting to make the movie, and Roger Corman stood right behind us. He was very supportive. You know, he really wanted to see us make the film. And eventually we found the right studio, which was Universal. And I'm glad we made the movie there, because they really stood behind the R-rated, hard version of the film. And you know, we got the job done. And I'm glad we did it now, because if I'd done it 10 years ago, you know, I would, at that point I was definitely in love with CG. You know, I was making Mortal Kombat, you know, Event Horizon, you know, I loved, you know, CG, I loved it. Now, you know, I've made enough CG movies that I'm not so impressed by it. And for me now, the ultimate is to do it practical. I don't want to I don't want two cars against green screen with computer generated pieces of metal flying off it. I want two cars in a real environment smashing into one another at 80 miles an hour. And maybe not knowing exactly what's going to happen, but having enough cameras and enough cameramen who are fast enough to run away if a car should come towards them, that you get spectacular real results. And that's the kind of movie making I'm interested in now, and I think I wouldn't have made that movie 10 years ago, so I'm glad it's taken this long.
Final question then, getting this really interesting cast on board. You've got Ian McShane, you got Joan Allen, and you got Jason on. So what's it like to kind of rein all these people and to watch Joan Allen cuss? I mean, we were all like so happy when she's there. You know, what was that like to kind of direct this 3-time Oscar nominee?
It was, you know, I set out to get Joan Allen in this movie. She was the only person we approached for the role. I definitely wrote it with her in mind, because I felt I had to differentiate the prison warder in this movie from all the other great prison movies, those Shawshanks, Escape from Alcatraz, Cool Hand Luke. They have great prison governors, but they're all men. And the fact is, a lot of prison governors now are women, and that had never been put on film. And I thought, how interesting to take Joan Allen, who is always the moral center of her movies, and do the exact opposite with her. Make her the evil bitch at the center of this movie. And then also to have her, you know, a woman who's so dignified and so calm, swear like a trooper towards the end of the movie. And for all the explosions and the great car action, one of the biggest reactions the audiences always have to the film is when Joan Allen just loses control and says, "Okay, cocksucker, fuck with me and we'll see who shits on the sidewalk." I don't know if you have to beep that out, but if you do, it's fine, then people just have to go see it in the movie. It's much better when Joan Allen does it rather than me. The first time we shot that, the first take was completely unusable because the whole camera crew, they're filming it, and when she starts swearing, they're like, oh, they couldn't quite believe that this was Joan Allen they were listening to. So, I mean, it was a great scene. It was real fun to direct.
It's a lot of fun to watch. Thank you very much. Nice talking to you.
Thank you.
Thanks again. Thanks.
Cheers.